Hello, it's Ed. Thanks for joining me again. Hope you're well. Just a quick little vlog today because it's a little one about making the most of an unexpected opportunity. And today's opportunity is mist. I wasn't expecting mist today at all, and I know it's going to burn off really quickly this morning, but I want to try and get some shots and also test out a 70 to 200mm Sigma lens, which I've not used for ages. On the Canon Eos-1, which you probably saw me testing a week or two ago. So I'm going to head into Manchester and hopefully get some cityscapes, maybe a little bit of nature amongst the city. The message of today is make the most of every opportunity. If you suddenly see there's mist out there, get out there and enjoy it if you can, rather than thinking, oh well, another time. Let's make the most of it. For the first shot, I'm going to try and get a picture of the mist with the tram lines going into the distance. So I've got massive lens on here. Because there's mist, I'm going to use exposure compensation. I'm going to go for 1/250th of a second because I'm going to be shooting at 200mm, and hopefully that should give a good result. Let's see. And yes, I think that is a good start. You can see the mist there curling into the distance, the geometrics of the electricity poles and the silver of the rails going off into the distance. Simple but effective, a good way to get going. And this one too. I just took a picture of the tree and the fencing at the opposite side of the tram line because ordinarily you'll be able to see football pitches behind here and lots of people playing football. Make a note of that, we'll come back to that later. But today, obviously with the mist, it was just a pure white barrier, and that's kind of interesting, especially for me, knowing what that would look like on an ordinary day. Can you see those wonderful cobwebs there? I wonder if I could get a shot of those. Let's give it a go. And yeah, I'm surprised at how well this came out, using the really shallow depth of field, the f2.8 aperture, and about 150mm the lens was on here. I could probably have done with stopping down to about 3.5 actually, to make sure that I got all this spider work really, really sharp with the dewdrops on it, but it's still pretty good with this ColorPlus film. And as the tram was arriving at the station, I also got this shot of it coming out of the mist, which I thought would be quite dramatic with the people waiting in the foreground. But actually, I think it works better if I crop in a little bit so you can just see the tram and a little bit of the driver coming through the window there. The foreground interest wasn't as interesting as I thought it was. But then I got this picture when I just got off the tram at my destination, and I really like this. It's so packed. This is a Sunday, and I was wondering why it was so busy on this tram, and I found out very quickly after this. But I just love the crush of people, especially if you crop in a little bit and you can just see one person looking out between two other people and thinking, oh, what's going on here? So yeah, I like that one. It's a good snapshot of humanity. So I said the tram was busier than usual. Why was that? Well, it's the Manchester Half Marathon today, so the roads are all closed, mist, all sorts going on, high vises. It might make some quite good shots. And here's one of the road closure with the high vises. Not particularly interesting or artistic of itself, but it was one of those things which it's a nice memory. So I set off down the road to see if there was anything to be taken round the corner. Morning. And this was the first one that I got, the water station with the people preparing for the day. This is, I think, before any of the runners had actually gone past. And I like the way I've managed to anonymise all the workers there in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do if I'd been using a rangefinder. Using the SLR, I could be very accurate about where I put those bottles so that they covered the faces. And I like the way the colours pop there as well. You've just got the red of the team leader's top, the green of the tree, the blue of the bottles, and the volunteers' outfits as well. I think that's a really nice documentary image. I'm quite pleased with that. And there are all sorts of little things going on. As I was walking along, these people putting up a banner to support one of the running squads that were taking part in the event. And this shot, which gives a time and a place, which I think is always important in a documentary picture, and I guess I am shooting documentary at this point, one of the runners going past the sign for Chorlton, which is the stop that I got off the tram, and you can tell that they're going to the race because they've got their racing number on the front of the t-shirt there, and you can still see the mist in the background making those trees fade into the background a little bit. Walking on, I saw a fair few runners, and I took one picture here which I wanted to show that the road was closed, so the signage for the event. And I've just managed to capture these two runners in a little fenced-off enclosure, which I thought was quite amusing. It looks like they're trapped on a treadmill in the middle of suburbia, and I can imagine them just running statically there forever, so that amused me. It might not work for other people, but it worked for me. And this one, more of a classic shot, a cyclist on an empty road. I think probably because the event meant that all the roads were empty. So the cyclist really stands out, especially in the orange high vis in that mist, which was starting to clear, but still made a picture that would be quite ordinary a little bit special. I think it would work even better in black and white, this one. I think you could dodge and burn it a bit to make it look really quite romantic and autumnal. And this shot just taken a little bit further along of, I think, the winner of the wheelchair race heading towards the finish line with the car showing the elapsed time. It's made just that little bit more exciting by the mist. It just adds something. So the mist's already starting to thin, but I think we'll still be able to get some good shots. Something to bear in mind when you're photographing transient events is getting yourself into a place where you can shoot them in the right amount of time. Now, I was heading into Manchester on the tram and I just felt like the mist was clearing too fast, and by the time I actually got into town I would have missed the event. So I hopped off early in Chiltern and managed to get some nice misty shots before it started lifting. There is still plenty of mist around, but I know that in the centre it's going to clear faster, and I also know that it can just drift really, really fast once the sun comes up, if it ever is going to today. So it is that thing about thinking about where have I got to get to and having an idea of where you might go when some opportunity presents itself. So I was trying to position myself somewhere where there were tall buildings to get images of structures disappearing into the mist, and this is the first one that I came across on the way into the city centre. Not the tallest skyscraper, more a block of flats really, and you can see the top of it here, not quite shrouded in the mist as it had started to clear. Having taken that shot, I carried on towards the city centre and came across another little patch of life in the middle of the mist. I snapped this at 200mm just because I saw the arrangement of man, dog, cyclist, traffic lights all in one spot. I would have loved to have got a bit closer and got more detail in there, but it's one of those things where the moment only lasts for a moment and it's better to take it than wait for a better opportunity and not take it. Obviously I was shooting film, so I have to be careful with the number of pictures I take, which I'll come on to later, but I think that's quite a nice little arrangement, and I think it could be cropped in. This is quite a low-res scan of a negative just for this video presentation, and if I was going to actually print it, I would probably do a better, more high-resolution scan and crop in on this central area where all the action is. And this one of my favourites from the day, actually. It is kind of mist obscuring a person, but it's a different kind of mist. It's condensation on a bus shelter rather than condensation in the air, but it fits the theme. And of course the Manchester Bee right in the centre of the frame, just to give you a sense of place. Having taken that, I headed down towards Chester Road, which leads into Manchester city centre, and I actually came across the half marathon again. I was obviously following the route quite closely. So I think now might be the opportunity to get some motion blur. I'm going to go for a slow shutter speed. I'm going to use the railings to lean against and try and get a blur of legs and arms as the runners are going in two different directions at once. Let's see how we get on. And yeah, I think I managed to get that motion blur quite well. I think I was using 1/15 of a second and bracing myself on the railings. I think it's really good that I got the security guard totally static, obviously looking on at something with the blur behind it. And I think cropping in would be really good here as well, just to get more a sense of the movement. There's not a lot going on in the left hand side of the picture, so to crop into the right hand side of the picture I think works better. The next shot I took was trying to make a funny comment using signs, as I always have tried to avoid doing, but I can't help myself. There was an advertising board saying, "Are you moving house?" So I've got moving, and then I wanted to get the runners moving past. But this is one of those examples of where shooting film, you only really can spare one or two shots. You can't fire off 100 shots in the hope of getting a good one, which you can do with digital. And so I actually didn't really get the runners going past that I thought I was going to get. I just shot a fraction of a second too soon and there was nobody in the background, and I should have been more aware of what was going on. I did get this nice guide runner and the person doing that race, but it would be nice if there were a few more people running past that Chester Road sign just to give it a bit more life, but nothing to cry about. And this one I really like. The two runners there, their legs completely in unison, almost identical strides, and the banners that some of the spectators have got to urge people on as well. A nice shot, and I got it with just one frame. It's that thing. You can't compete with digital cameras if you are going purely on results. But it's the idea about, do you want to be a fisherman with skill and a rod, or do you want to just get a massive net and go and trawl with a big deep sea trawler? Just my two penneth there. And I really like this shot because it gives a complete context to the day. It's showing the mile 1 banner. You can see where we are. There's the roundabout sign which shows you the location. You can see it's a misty day. You can see the runners. You can see the official photographers. I think they are as well with their high vis. It's a really nice documentary shot of the day, and I'm glad I got that. And I'm glad I got this as well. I seem to have become a big dog photographer, which is strange because I'm not a great dog person. Normally, I'm more of a cat person, but they do make fantastic photographic subjects, and I like this one. Again, if I'd had a digital camera, I would probably have shot a few more frames and would have got an even better picture, but I'm proud of myself for getting this moment captured just with my little EOS-1. And this picture I really like as well because it shows you a little bit about what I was talking about in the video when I was in Huddersfield, talking about whether you needed to use professional equipment or not. And it is that idea, obviously they can tell he's, I imagine, a professional photographer because he's wearing his high vis and he's crouching down there. But it is that thing about how people respond to you. Obviously those people maybe would have smiled for the camera or given a bit of attitude for the camera for anybody, but certainly seeing the official photographer, seeing the professional kit, they know that that's going to be going somewhere and it's going to be an opportunity to leave a memory of their part in the event. So I really like the fact I've captured that. It would probably have been better if I'd actually got them in focus, but I was focusing on the photographer. Maybe I should have gone with a slightly narrower aperture and kept more in focus. But again, I was working with 200 speed film on a quite murky day, so that's my excuse. And I really like this shot as well. This is the last of the running related ones, but it's just showing that other side of the day. I'm always more interested in the audience than the stars of events. Quite often if I'm shooting a parade or something, I'll shoot the crowd rather than the parade going past because it's their reactions that are interesting. And I like this moment because these people, I imagine, are waiting for a particular person or a particular group of friends to come by that they are supporting. And in the meantime, there are just lots and lots of people zooming past them. There's just a kind of empty time, a sort of quietness that there can be in one of these really big hectic events where there's just like a little zoned out moment. So yeah, I've only got 7 shots left as I get towards Manchester city centre. I have overshot with the running, but hopefully I've got a decent shot out of those ones. And yeah, I'm not going to be too hard on myself. Also, I haven't got the wide angle. I was saying compressing perspective is what I want to do, but with not having the wide angle, I can't really get the looming towers going up into the mist when I'm this close. I am going to try and get one shot looking up there because that might be quite impressive. We'll see. I'm going to go for overexposing one stop and using as narrow an aperture as I can get. And yeah, this works quite well actually. I think the dark form of the street lamp with the geometric of the tower disappearing off into nothingness, it's okay. It might have been better shot on a finer grain film like an Ektar rather than ColorPlus, because while I love ColorPlus for its punchy colours and I think it works really well in social documentary, for architecture and things that have a lot of fine detail, I think maybe Ektar would have been the way to go. But I didn't have any Ektar with me, so you use what you've got, don't you? So I'm leaving the running route behind me now and I'm heading down towards Castlefield Basin, which if you follow my videos you'll have seen many times before, because there might be some nice misty boats still there. The skyscrapers, as you can probably see, they're not going to make great shots because they are just so shrouded in mist. Layering's all the rage, isn't it, this year? So lots of layers. Might be able to get people in the front, people on the bridge, trams in the background, trains. It works when there's mist because things are different. They get lighter rather than darker as they recede into the distance. So we'll give it a shot. And yeah, it's okay. You can see the stripes there. It's a bit like a picture I took of all the Tyne bridges in Newcastle, one behind the other, which I quite like, but it's a little bit too busy. I prefer this vertical version. I took a second shot vertically because you get those geometrics more interestingly, and you can see there's a tram going past on this one and a couple of people on the bridge below. So yeah, the vertical portrait orientation works far better for this particular shot. And I took this one as well, just of the canal, which I think you may have seen in a previous video of mine, the one where I was out in the evening shooting in Manchester. And what's interesting about it to me is the fact that you cannot see Beetham Tower in the background. It's disappeared into the mist, so it's almost like looking back in time. Okay, so I'm about to take one of those shots that could be amazing or it could be absolutely rubbish, because the mist is clearing around the skyscrapers there, and I think it could make a really interesting ethereal shot. But I have to get the exposure just right, because otherwise it's just going to look like whiteness or greyness. I need to get the definition, and I need to have a fast enough shutter speed to make sure it's sharp, but enough depth of field, enough depth of field to be able to make out everything front to back. So let's give it a go and hope for the best, expect the worst. And yeah, again, I think if I'd used Ektar here, I would have got a better result. It's just a little bit too grainy. There's not quite enough definition there. Maybe it's my scanning. Maybe I could get more out of it with a better scan. But it's quite nice. I like the geometrics, just a little bit not quite clean enough for me, that shot. But this one I do like. You can see the towers disappearing up into the sky there, into the cloud, into the mist, and a figure with some balloons walking away. I think it would be nice if I got him bigger in the frame. It's a bit hard to see, especially at the size on a computer screen, what he's doing. I don't know if those balloons had anything to do with the running race that was going on, but it's one of those Sunday morning moments, which I'm quite glad I got. And this one as well. It's a bit more cliched, this, but I got the person closer in the foreground, which I think is what's necessary so you can get that sense of scale and depth. But I think that is about all that I managed to get. And so I've reached the central library in the town hall. It's about 10:30. I've done about 10,000 steps. Remember I was saying don't do loads of steps, you don't have to do this. Well, I've done it today anyway, because I wanted to, and I've run out of film. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching this rather quickly thrown together little video. I'll be back with a more thoughtful one very soon indeed. Please do like, share and subscribe. It really helps me out. Until we meet again, please do take care of yourselves. Enjoy your shooting. Bye for now. So just a little addendum to the video. As I was heading back, I came across Sunday football on the playing fields here, and that would be fantastic photography fodder for the long lens and the Eos-1. But I've used up all my film, so I'm just going to get a shot on my phone, because it's about the shot, not about what you use it with every time. And yeah, I really like these. I wish I'd shot them on film, because I think they would have looked even better. But they are atmospheric, literally. They are well composed, I think. And I'm glad I stopped off at the football on my way back.